This week in India's Science, brought to you by Nature India, I am Shubhra Priyadarshini. This week, we remember a towering figure of India's science. Krishnaswamy Kasturirangan, former chairman of the Indian Space Research Organisation ISRO and a guiding force behind India's 2020 National Education Policy, passed away on April 25 in Bengaluru at the age of 84. Over a career spanning decades, Kasturirangan helped shape India's space ambitions, from launching its first Earth observation satellites to laying the foundations for missions like Chandrayaan-1. But beyond satellites and rockets, he carried a quiet conviction that science must serve society and that education must nurture not just knowledge, but imagination and equity.
And I was born in Kerala, and I had the advantage of a dark night sky with its all panoramic view of stars and galaxies and so on. So that triggered an interest in astronomy, which continued in my later years in my education: physics, mathematics, astronomy and so on. Naturally, when I joined the physical research laboratory, I got the opportunity to work on cosmic X-rays. And this is certainly a very fascinating area of high energy astronomy: black holes, neutron stars, galaxies, highly active core of galaxies bursting out energy and things of that kind. That is one of the fascinating part of my life in terms of pursuit of science.
Kasturirangan there speaking with Pranav Sharma, an adjunct researcher in the history of science at the Raman Research Institute, Bengaluru.
When I first interviewed him at Raman Research Institute some years ago, I was only intending to record oral history. But what I realized was I was in presence of living history. He never spoke in the jargon of systems and trajectories. What he really talked about was friendships that bridged continents. He talked about partnerships that were forged in hope rather than policy.
Pranav Sharma there. Read his heartfelt obituary at www.nature.com/natindia. In other news, India's summers are getting hotter and the air isn't getting any cleaner, a dangerous combination for pregnant women and young children. Studies show now that heat and air pollution can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, and low birth weight. In India, many families still rely on wood or dung for cooking, exposing mothers to high levels of toxic smoke right in their homes. But health policies often treat heat and pollution as separate issues, ignoring how they overlap.
The science we use often comes from cooler, wealthier countries. But heat in Paris isn't heat in Patna. Most Indian families don't have air conditioning. Clean energy access is still limited in many areas.
Ankur Jamwal from the School of Climate Change and Sustainability at Azim Premji University, Bengaluru. Ankur and colleagues emphasize in a commentary this week in Nature India that India needs local data, inclusive policies, and region-specific climate responses that reflect the lived realities of Indian families. Because protecting mothers and children isn't just good health policy, it's the heart of true climate justice. Now, India may have weathered the worst of COVID-19 and the pandemic is thankfully in what seems like a distant past. But the next health emergency could come anytime, and the country's preparedness still remains fragile, says a new report from Delhi-based think tank Observer Research Foundation. It calls for urgent reforms, starting with replacing outdated laws like the 1897 Epidemic Diseases Act with a modern Public Health Emergency Management Act. The report outlines 5 key fixes: open health data, a One Health approach to track zoonotic threats, predictive AI tools, stronger public-private partnerships, and surge-ready healthcare systems. Read about what will make India pandemic-ready with suggestions from the ORF report alongside virologist Shahid Jamil, who headed the Indian government's multi-agency network INSACOG, created to monitor genomic variations in the SARS-CoV-2, and mathematician Murad Banaji at the University of Oxford and a key analyst of India's COVID-19 trends.
Pandemic preparedness doesn't happen during a pandemic.
How vulnerable one felt in the early days of the pandemic, that extreme sense of vulnerability, that something is unfolding, that we have such a limited understanding of, it's very scary.
With climate issues, increasing population density, migration, many factors that tell us that there will be other pandemics and probably worse. The time to prepare is now.
Coming to another climate threat, well, rising sea levels are not just a climate threat, they're also turning our coastlines into mosquito breeding grounds. As seawater intrudes into freshwater zones, mosquitoes like Aedes aegypti, which carry dengue, Zika, and chikungunya, are adapting to saltier conditions and even resisting common larvicides. Yet, most mosquito control programs still focus on freshwater habitats. Charles Arokiaraj and Amit Kumar, researchers at the Center for Climate Change Studies, Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, say it's time to rethink vector control strategies. In a commentary on Nature India, they urge the need for climate-responsive surveillance, new larvicides, better habitat management, and community awareness. Without action, they say, coastal communities could face a surge in mosquito-borne diseases, driven not by rain but by rising tides. This is where public health and climate change collide. Wrapping up this week in India Science with a research highlight from West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Sciences in Kolkata, where scientists have discovered that tulsi leaf extract enhances the bioavailability of an antibiotic used to treat mastitis in goats. Mastitis is a mammary gland infection. Read the highlight on Nature India. That's all for this week. Catch you again with the latest in India Science next week. I'm Shubhra Priyadarshini, and this is the Nature India podcast.